Have you ever stopped to think about why the most successful people in almost any field are almost always incredible communicators? Yeah, that's not a coincidence. Whether you're trying to nail a job interview, lead a team, or pitch a huge idea, your ability to get that message across clearly and persuasively, well, it all comes down to this one critical skill. So today, we're going to break down exactly how you can master it. It's the age-old question, right? Are some people just born with the gift of gab? Well, sure, some might have a natural flair for it. But the real truth is that powerful, effective communication is a skill. It's something that can be learned, it can be practiced, and it can absolutely be perfected. Think of it like a system, not some kind of superpower. And we're going to walk through that system together. All right, let's get into it. First, we're going to look at the architecture of a powerful argument. Then we'll talk about how to deliver that argument with real impact. After that, we'll cover how to handle those tricky audience questions gracefully. And finally, we'll dive into the complexities of communicating across cultures, which is, more important than ever. So, every great speech, every persuasive presentation, even just a simple conversation where you're trying to win someone over, it's all built on a solid foundation. And for literally centuries, the blueprint for that foundation has been what's known as the rhetorical triangle. It's kind of like the secret architecture behind any message that truly lands. So what is it? Well, the triangle is basically a strategic model for building your case. It's made up of 3 interconnected appeals that have to work together: ethos, pathos, and logos. And trust me, mastering the balance between these 3 is the real key to a message that doesn't just inform people, but actually influences them. So let's break this down. First up is ethos. Ethos is all about your credibility. It's the reason the audience should even listen to you in the first place. Maybe it's your job title, your years of experience, or the solid research you've put in. But, credibility by itself isn't enough. You also have to connect with your audience on an emotional level, and that's where pathos comes in. This is all about making them feel why your message matters. And that brings us to the final point of the triangle, logos. This is what anchors your entire argument in reality. Logos is your appeal to logic. We're talking facts, data, statistics, and just structured reasoning that makes your argument feel undeniable. In fact, having strong logos is one of the best ways to build up your ethos because it proves you've really done your homework. So how does this actually look in the real world? Well, let's take Shashi Tharoor's legendary debate at the Oxford Union. His ethos? It was established the moment he was introduced. He's a senior Indian member of parliament speaking at a world-renowned university. He then tapped into pathos by talking about the deep historical injustices and the human cost of the British Raj. And then he sealed the deal with logos, dropping hard facts and statistics on the economic damage. It was just a masterclass in weaving all 3 of these together. Okay, so you've built this brilliant, persuasive argument. Awesome. But that's really only half the battle, isn't it? A powerful message can fall completely flat if the delivery is off. So let's move on and talk about how you turn that great content into a genuine, memorable connection with your audience. Right, let's talk about slides. Here's the most important thing to remember. Think of your slides as your backup singers, okay? They're not the lead vocalist. Their job is to support your message, to punch up the key ideas, not to steal the show with a giant wall of text. Because let's be honest, if your audience is just reading your slides, they're not really listening to you. To help you with that, there's a fantastic little guideline to keep in your back pocket. It was created by the venture capitalist Guy Kawasaki, and it's called the 10-20-30 rule. It is so simple, but so effective for keeping your presentations sharp, focused, and actually engaging. And here's the why behind it all. 10 slides. That forces you to boil your message down to its absolute core. 20 minutes, that respects everyone's attention span. It's long enough to say something meaningful, but short enough to keep people locked in. And a 30-point font? Well, that just makes sure everyone in the room can actually read what you've put up there. Now, it's a guideline, not a gospel, but those principles of focus, brevity, and clarity, they're universal. Of course, great delivery is about way more than just your slides. First, try structuring your talk around a simple what, why, and how. It gives your audience a clear roadmap. Next, use powerful visuals and stories to make your message stick. Our brains are just wired for narrative. And finally, please don't forget about your own physical presence. Your posture, your eye contact, your voice. These are all incredibly powerful tools for commanding a room. The presentation's over, and then comes the part a lot of people dread, the Q&A. But I want you to reframe this. Questions aren't a test. They are a sign of engagement. It's a golden opportunity for you to clarify your message, address any lingering concerns, and honestly, reinforce your credibility. So here's a simple 4-step process to handle it like a pro. First, always thank the person for their question. It's polite and it buys you a second to think. Second, repeat the question out loud. This makes sure you understood it correctly and it gets the rest of the room on the same page. Third, start answering while looking at the person who asked, but then slowly expand your gaze to include the whole room. And finally, and this is a big one, if you don't know the answer, don't try to fake it. Just calmly say, that's a great question. I'll have to get back to you on that. It shows confidence, not weakness. Okay, now let's zoom out a bit, because in today's world, being an effective communicator isn't just about what you say in your own office building. It's about how your message is received all across the globe. This adds a whole new layer of complexity, and honestly, getting it right has never been more critical. When we try to communicate across cultures, we can run into some serious roadblocks. There's the obvious one, language itself. But the really subtle traps are often the most dangerous. Things like ethnocentrism, which is just the belief that your way is the only right way, or just assuming that a simple gesture or phrase means the same thing everywhere. Spoiler alert, it definitely doesn't. To see just how high the stakes can get, let's look at a classic marketing blunder. When Pepsi first launched in China, they brought their huge slogan with them. Come alive with the Pepsi generation. Sounds pretty good, right? Well, they didn't exactly do their cultural homework. And this was the result. The literal translation came out as, Pepsi brings your ancestors back from the grave. A little more startling than they intended, wouldn't you say? It's a funny story now, but it's a powerful reminder that cultural context is absolutely everything. So, how do we avoid these massive pitfalls? Well, it really boils down to a 3-step process. First, you have to become genuinely aware that these differences exist. You can never just assume. Second, you have to actively respect those differences and approach them with curiosity, not judgment. And third, you work to reconcile them, to find a middle ground or a new approach that works for everyone involved. So, there you have it. We've covered a ton of ground today, but the goal was to leave you with a powerful toolkit that you can start using right away. You've got the triangle persuasion to build your argument, the 10-20-30 rule to design your delivery, a simple process for handling Q&A, and a strategy for navigating our globalized world. So now the question really isn't if you can become a great communicator, it's how you're going to start. Your next important meeting, your next presentation, that next big conversation. It's just around the corner. So think about it. Which one of these tools are you going to put into practice first?